You're watching Swipe. On the show this week, come swipe with me, how technology is changing air travel. A breath of fresh air as Apple announced its newest tablet. Force field umbrellas, how inventors in China want to change brollies forever. And fun things for your biggest small screen. We look at tablet games in this week's review. Hello and welcome to Swipe from the world's busiest single runway airport, Gatwick. Now, as passengers, we all know how air travel has changed in recent years. It's a lot more comfortable, the onboard movies are a whole lot better, and checking in online is a doddle. But what's been going on behind the scenes? Well, this week, Katie's been finding out how technology is changing things for those at the controls.
Small, but with the potential to make a big difference to aircraft safety. This drone, fitted with lasers and high-def video cameras, can be programmed to map the surface of any plane. Getting closer than any maintenance worker could, spotting signs of damage with a much greater accuracy than the human eye. Engineers believe they could be out inspecting fleets as early as next year. Live streaming video is already being used out on the tarmac.
The detail you can see is incredible, isn't it?
It is. It's high definition and we need to be millimetre perfect on it.
Any problem can be identified remotely so that a plane can be put back into service within hours. Rather than a paper logbook, augmented reality is already allowing engineers to access the manuals they need on the job and could eventually be used to help the pilot to easily look at any areas which might need attention.
The reason for all this technology is so that our engineers can get our aircraft back into service more rapidly than we currently do, and that ultimately will benefit the passenger with shorter delays and getting them to their destination quicker than we currently can.
For planes this size, drones and being able to live stream back to engineers is going to massively transform how these aircrafts can be inspected. But it's not just changes that are happening on the outside, a revolution is underway on the inside.
3D printing not only has the potential to allow companies to manufacture parts more quickly, it's also helping to create parts that weigh significantly less. Lighter planes could help make flights greener and cheaper. Technology inside of the terminal is also changing. Face and iris recognition systems like Gatwick's are designed to help speed up passenger processing.
Aviation is just a really fast-growing business. Gatwick has just hit 37.5 million passengers in the last 12 months. To keep up that growth and to keep the people moving through our airports quickly, we have to make these investments in this technology.
Some concepts are arguably more practical than others. One idea to massively reduce a plane's weight and save on fuel costs is to remove the windows. Far from missing out on the view, flexible display screens could live stream what's happening outside. In the future, we could all have a bird's eye view. Perhaps not so good if you're afraid of flying. Katie Spencer, Sky News.
Well, if you come with me now, we can go inside what's known as a paperless cockpit. And to explain what exactly that is, I'm joined by Captain Douglas Newell. Thanks for joining us. I wasn't aware that cockpits typically contained much paper to begin with. What's special about this one?
You'd be surprised. We used to have 3 bags of books like this that weighed up to 105 kilos and extra weight on board the aeroplane. It's difficult to get to these pieces of paper, so putting all of that paper into this tough pad.
So you have these now on every plane?
Every plane. We're looking at the departure, which is the same as the one we're about to fly, and this is what we need to refer to be able to interact with air traffic and make sure the aircraft is flying the prescribed track.
So you're saving a lot of paper, and I imagine costs as well?
Absolutely. You'd be surprised that carrying this 105 kilos around on 220 of our aircraft for all the flights we conduct each year equates to £400,000 worth of fuel being saved.
£400,000 a year?
Just to carry these 3 bags of books.
And just show us what we're looking at right here and how you would use it on a flight.
So we're looking at Gatwick Airport, the route that has got to be flown, the altitudes that we've got to be flying at, and the geographical points that we've got to be over to comply with.
And what other information does this hold?
This contains all of our manuals. It contains the calculations to be able to get the aircraft airborne in its weight and balance and the correct power settings for being airborne. And when something breaks, then we can refer to this as well.
We're talking about things breaking. What if this breaks? At a
this
crucial
breaks,
moment,
At
what
a crucial
happens?
moment, we have another one right next door to you in your seat over there. And that's what we
You've got a backup one. Well, what if the backup one goes?
Then we call home.
Call home. Right, Captain Douglas, thanks for talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
You're watching Swipe. Later on the show, rain, rain, go away. Is this the key to holding back the elements? But first, it's been just over a month since Apple launched its new iPhone 6, the 6 Plus and its new watch. But there's more to come. This week, the company held product announcement events in California and Berlin. We sent Martin to Germany to find out more.
Hello there, Gemma. Yes, I was invited to come to Berlin to see for myself some of the products announced in California on Thursday evening. And here's one of the signature products. As predicted, it was a new iteration of the iPad Air number 2. It's got faster electronics, a new chip, better graphics, but it's also got a new dimension. And there it is for you, just 6.1 millimeters of it.
It may be slender, but this iPad is making a big pitch for business. Mindful perhaps that many people already have one at home, the iPad's capability as a tool for work was the focus of this presentation. An improved eyesight camera and greater capabilities for both photography and video.
You know, this is a fantastic device. The screen's lovely, the processor's fast, we're playing games, it's all good. But if you've already got an Air, you're going to struggle to understand why you need to upgrade.
One difference is a joined-up approach across Apple devices.
An SMS, for instance, I could pick it up. Oh, here it is. What a coincidence. Right here on my iPad. This is a regular SMS. Now it says, hey,
with the new Mac operating system Yosemite, working with a now bug-free iOS 8 version 2 for iPhones and tablets, allowing greater integration between the handheld and the desktop.
I think that once you are within an ecosystem, you tend to buy within that ecosystem, and you are really looking at having the same experience across all your devices.
Apple CEO Tim Cook doesn't want you to own just one device. He wants to tempt you with a whole bunch that all works seamlessly together.
And because we create both the hardware and the software, we can deliver something that no one else can do.
I think they're still a company that is powered by the iPhone, if you like, but by having all these products around it, the halo of the iPhone spreads out, and it's going to spread out far and wide, I think.
And proof of that won't be long coming, with all these improvements and their attendant screens available to buy before Christmas. Martin Stanford, Sky News, Berlin.
You're watching Swipe, still to come. Huddle up, we look at the best titles for your tablet in our games review this week. But first, here's a roundup of the tech stories you might have missed this week. A team of inventors in China has used Kickstarter to fund an air umbrella. The company wants to make invisible brollies that use jets of air to push away water. They could be in shops by the end of next year. One of the team's biggest challenges will be battery life. The current prototypes only last for between 15 and 30 minutes. Facebook and Apple are taking staff benefits to a whole new level by offering to pay for female staff to have their eggs frozen. The offer would help employees delay their plans to have a family. The two companies would cover up to $20,000 or £12,600 of the cost. The firms hope it'll help them recruit and keep top talent. We've all heard of charity walks, but how about this? A virtual fundraiser. Tommy Raffine spent 6 hours and 4 minutes walking a character across Grand Theft Auto 5 to raise money to buy an alert dog for his mum who has type 1 diabetes. He broadcast the walk through Los Santos on Twitch and has raised around £10,000. Now, forget how much the latest Apple product costs. How much would you pay for the oldest one? This is the Apple I. It was built in 1976 in Steve Jobs' garage. The 38-year-old computer is being sold at auction in San Francisco later this month. Experts think it'll go for around $400,000, about £250,000. Now, we love tablet games here on Swipe. In fact, some of the team are still stuck on the room. They know who they are. But this week, Holly Nielsen has picked a few more to keep us going.
I always figured I'd bite the bullet in the streets of Port Arthur, but not like this.
tablet works really well for point-and-click adventures. The Journey Down Chapter 2 is a really great example of this. It manages to get rid of some of the kind of aspects of just kind of clicking wherever to find things, and lets you kind of drag your finger across and highlight points of interest.
The game charging back at me like a freight train on eel fumes. And it hit me. It hit me bad.
The characters are brilliant. It's really well written, which is necessary for a point-and-click adventure. The voice acting is also really, really good. Although you don't have to play the first chapter, I would recommend that you do, just because it's such a wonderful game, so well written, you want to get to know the characters, and the more time you get to spend with them, the better, really. "80 Days" is another text-based adventure game. You play as Phileas Fogg's trusted valet. It is obviously based on the book, but it has more kind of steampunk elements to it. You can get around the world flying on a mechanical bird, which obviously wasn't in the original book. It's incredibly well written, and you do make choices, though. It's so subtly and so well done that every time you play the game, and it does take you a couple of hours to go completely around the world, everyone has a different experience. No matter how many times you play it, you will always get different stories and different events happening, and it's incredibly subtly done. It's got hours of replayability, and in my opinion, it's probably one of the best games on the tablet. Traps and Gemstones is a 2D platformer, but it has exploring elements along the lines of kind of a classic Castlevania or Metroid. There's different rooms that you explore in this big pyramid, each with a puzzle, and they all link together. You play it as an Indiana Jones type adventurer. You have to go around and collect relics. And there are lots of different ways you can play this game. Every time that your character dies, you lose all the artifacts that you found, so either you can be very slow and steady and pick everything up, or you can just try and race through and get through the pyramid. It's one of the best platformers out there. Usually the problem with platformers is that you play them for about an hour and you've kind of seen all they have to offer. However, with this one, because of the exploring element, there's a lot of hours of fun in it. Valiant Hearts is a game set in World War I. You play as 5 different characters. It is an absolute credit to Ubisoft's art direction. It is a gorgeous looking game. It's also a very interesting treatment of history. It's very different from the usual civilization or kind of focus on warfare type of game. It has a very melancholic tone throughout. I think it's a very brave step, and I'm glad that they did it. However, the game itself is let down by the very average gameplay. The puzzles that are there are very simplistic. The touchscreen controls are very clunky, and you will often find yourself dying because of the controls, which is obviously very frustrating. However, I feel that it is a must-play game just because of the way it treats history.
Well, that's it for this week, but don't forget to stay up to date with all the latest tech stories on Sky News for iPad, our smartphone apps, and skynews.com. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.